Hey guys, Mix here, and in today's video we are back with my 1974 Corvette. And over the past couple videos, we took the engine out of this thing, cleaned up the engine bay, completely transformed the engine, got the engine back in with all new seals, new clutch, new fluids in the transmission, and obviously the engine. Just a whole refresh all around. And last video, we got it to fire up and took it on its first drive since everything was put back in, and it was very successful for the most part, until I started driving it a little bit more and I began to notice just a few small issues. So the engine does look great, but what actually happened, and this was the biggest issue, was that the front of the oil pan, way by the timing cover, like on the bottom of it, didn't seal very good, and it ended up leaking a little bit of oil, and enough that when you would drive it, it would splash back onto the headers and send smoke into the cabin, which was not ideal because it used to do that before the whole, new seal job and everything like that. And it wasn't ideal that we did all of that, and it's still sending smoke in there. But off camera, I had to drop the steering components to get the oil pan out, dropped it out, cleaned up everything, put on a new oil pan gasket. And with these engines, you are supposed to put on a decent amount of gasket maker on the front lips, and I didn't put nearly enough, so I put on quite a lot, I'm not gonna lie, and it has not leaked a bit. I have been driving this thing and enjoying it while the weather is really, really nice, but I'm proud to say that this thing is not leaking from anywhere now. But there is just one more thing that we need to do, and that is readjust this carburetor. So if you guys remember from a video a couple months ago, we had an issue to where this thing would be like bucking and everything and running really bad, turning off when you would come to stops, flooding out, and it's starting to do something similar. It's not really bucking, but it is kind of flooding out and turning off when you come to stops. So what we're going to be doing is readjusting this carburetor, setting the float bowl heights, and as you can see, I have out my vacuum gauge, which is what we used the last time, and when we did that, it completely transformed the way this thing ran. It had a ton more power, wasn't flooding out, so I think if we do that again, this thing should run much, much better. But I mean, other than that, this thing has not been giving me any issues. It's been shifting great, handling great, the engine sounds really good, and if you guys remember that knocking noise that we had, I found out that it was the power steering, so I took off the belt just to test it, and once I took off the power steering belt, knock was gone. I put it back on, and it was there. But I did drive it and kind of tried to bleed the power steering system by turning it full lock a lot and just kind of cycling through it, and it actually eventually faded away, which is really awesome. So that's enough chit chat. I want to go ahead and get this carburetor all dialed in, and then maybe take it out and see how she feels, and just get this thing all tuned up back to how it was running before. So what I want to do first is just go ahead and get this engine fired up. As you can see, I did shut the hood because I do want it to get some heat in there. It's probably been about 2 weeks since I've ran it, so let's see how quickly it starts. Wow, that was really good actually. So as you can see right here, it's having a hard time running. I'm actually pedaling it down there to keep it alive, but if I take my foot off, it will eventually go down until it won't even show RPM signals, so I gotta keep her alive. That is like a typical carbureted car issue, but when we tuned it up last time, that went away almost instantly. I would just have to sit here for like 5 seconds, then I could walk away and the thing would idle perfectly, so I definitely want to get it back to how it was. And so I got this thing warmed up enough to where it will idle, but as you can hear, it sounds so much better than how it did before, well, in last video, since that knocking went away. Oh yeah. Alright, so now that it's idling, we're going to go ahead and begin. Alright, so I just finished up doing my best to tune this thing up. The float levels were way off. This one was close, but the front one was way way off. So we got that all good. You basically just do it until it like dribbles fuel out of the little peepholes on the side. And then the vacuum gauge, we got our highest amount of vacuum that we could at idle by adjusting the metering valves. It took about 2 1/4 turns out to run the best, but I mean, just feeling throttle response and everything, it feels pretty good. And as you can see, I got the roof off of her, and that's because we're gonna take this thing out on this gorgeous evening and just kind of feel it out, make sure everything is good, because we really haven't driven this thing too much and really got to feel exactly how good it can be running. So now hopefully, since we were able to get that out of the way, we should be good to hit the road. So with that being said, let's get to it. Feels pretty good. So the proper braking for this clutch is to drive it in like traffic and stay off of highways and everything. So I really don't take this thing on any highways anyway, but I have to do 500 miles, which is pretty far for this thing. I barely drive it, so going 500 miles is definitely going to be a challenge. So I can't go crazy on it yet, but I can definitely run it through the gears, you know, on shorter roads. Just make sure that it's shifting nice, and you know, I'm obviously not going to do like any clutch dumps or nothing like that, but I probably put maybe like 30 miles on it so far, and it hasn't given me any issues with the drivability so far. That's been great. Like I was saying before, it's just really that smoke, which now there is none of. No fumes, it's awesome. And then the carburetor, so we'll see if it's fixed. I mean, so far it seems good, but once we start hitting like stop signs and stuff, then that'll really be the true test. Alright, let's see how this thing is handling. That's good. One thing I may do to this is get like a cowl hood or something that can dissipate heat, because it does get a little bit warm sometimes. Like right now it is getting a little bit warm, but I am kind of driving it harder than usual. So I'm just gonna kind of back down a little bit, see how she does cruising now. I'm either gonna get, you know, some type of hood that can dissipate heat better, or I can see about getting some type of fan upgrade, maybe even electric fans. It could have an air pocket in the cooling system, because I mean, obviously we did have all of that out. I thought I bled it pretty good. You know, I did it until it wouldn't drink any more fluid, but it is a very big possibility. Oh, nothing beats a V8. And I always contemplated doing side pipes on this, but the way it sounds now, I can't get enough of it. it says that we are overheating extremely bad. But I have a secondary thermostat that goes straight into the engine. And I want to see what it says because it's not running like it's overheating that bad. Yeah, so we're at like 195, just about 200. So I just cut it off, but this thing is running really good. It's feeling really strong. As you guys probably heard, I did run her through the gears quite a lot, but I do want to test and make sure that it is clear in all RPM ranges, which it is, because, you know, I don't want to end up being very confident with this thing from just cruising around, and then eventually it'll break down on me. So it's definitely good to run it through the gears and just make sure that it is, you know, running smoothly in all realms of the RPM range, and that it is. So I'm definitely really pumped on that. I mean, that carburetor setup, if it's not right, it's left me stranded quite a lot. Definitely in the beginning of when I had this thing. And I know a lot of you guys were asking about painting it, and as you guys can see, I did not paint it yet except for the T-tops. I really need a shop in order to paint it, and just one in this market is just not feasible. So I'm still eventually going to do it. It's gonna have to wait until we find a shop. We are back, and this thing felt amazing. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be ending off this video here. Just a small, little fun video, just ripping around in the Vette and just testing it out. The MG will hopefully be back soon. There's just a couple parts that are hard to get right now, but within time I should be able to get it fairly soon, and then we could hopefully drive this thing around this summer along with the Corvette. That would be awesome. All the cars will be running. That's definitely the goal. But anyway, guys, with that being said, I'm going to be ending off this video here. Follow my social medias. They will be on the outro of this video. Instagram and Snapchat I use the most. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, friends with the channel.